In the heart of Africa, where the sun kissed the earth with golden warmth, and the winds whispered through the trees, there existed a village unlike any other. It was nestled between towering mountains, where rivers sang songs to the rhythm of time, and animals walked alongside the people. The village was peaceful, for the people knew the power of the land and the spirits that danced in the skies above. But it was not the land, nor the animals, that the people whispered about. It was a woman, one whose name carried weight like the thunder of the heavens. Her name was Akua. Akua was not like other women. She was strong, stronger than any man, even stronger than the trees that reached toward the sky. Her muscles were like the roots of ancient trees, firm and unyielding. Yet, despite her immense strength, Akua had a heart as pure as the waters of the sacred river that ran through the village. Her eyes were as deep as the earth, filled with wisdom, kindness, and a sense of justice that kept the balance in the village. She helped those in need, whether it was lifting heavy burdens, providing shelter for the homeless, or standing as a protector against any force that threatened peace. People traveled from far and wide just to witness Akua's strength and marvel at her kindness. Children played under her watchful eyes, knowing they were safe from harm. The elderly called her daughter, for she cared for them as though they were her own parents. Yet, despite her unmatched strength and compassion, Akua lived a humble life. Her hut was simple, adorned with the gifts of the earth, a few wooden carvings, woven baskets, and clay pots. But it was the warmth of her spirit that made her home the most beautiful in all the land. Far above, in the heavens, the gods watched the world below. They were the mighty beings who controlled the elements and shaped the destiny of all living things. Among them was Anansi, the god of thunder, a being of immense power and cunning. He had heard the whispers of Akua's strength and kindness, and it stirred something deep within him, a curiosity that he could not shake. The gods were intrigued, but there was one thing that troubled them. Could such a mortal truly possess both the strength to challenge the storms and the kindness to heal the wounded? Or was it mere legend? Answer: Anansi, the trickster god, decided to set a test. But he did not appear in his true form, for he knew that even the mighty Akua could not be easily swayed by the gods. Instead, he chose to disguise himself as a poor beggar. His powers masked by a human form, he ventured down to the village to find out the truth for himself. One bright morning, as the sun painted the sky with hues of orange and gold, Anansi appeared at the entrance of Akua's village. Wearing tattered clothes and with dirt smeared across his face, he was but a shadow of his true self. He approached Akua's humble hut, where she was weaving baskets outside. He bowed low, his voice gravelly and soft as he spoke, "Please, kind lady, spare me a little food. I have not eaten for days, and my strength has left me." Akua looked up from her work, her eyes softening at the sight of the beggar. Without hesitation, she invited him into her home. She set before him a feast, a meal fit for royalty, with roasted meats, steaming vegetables, and fruits as sweet as honey. As they ate, the beggar watched Akua with keen interest. She spoke to him as an equal, never once looking down on him. She told him stories of the village, of the people she had helped, and of the wisdom passed down through generations. When the meal was finished, and the beggar had eaten his fill, he stood up, stretching his arms. "You are kind beyond words, Akua," he said, his voice now deep and thunderous, revealing his true identity. The skies darkened, and the winds began to howl as Anansi summoned a mighty storm. The heavens rumbled, and the earth seemed to tremble under the power of his thunder. Akua stood tall, her face calm as the storm raged around her. The winds howled like wild beasts, and bolts of lightning struck the earth with a ferocity that could split mountains. But Akua did not flinch. Her feet were planted firmly on the ground, and her spirit was as unshakable as the mountains themselves. Anansi watched in awe as Akua's muscles rippled with power. She bent down, her hands gripping the massive boulder that lay before her. With a strength that defied nature itself, she lifted the stone high above her head. The lightning struck, but Akua swung the boulder with such precision that it deflected the bolts, sending them harmlessly into the earth. The storm grew fiercer, but Akua stood resolute, her eyes fixed on the heavens as if daring the sky to strike her down. The storm raged for hours, but still, Akua stood unyielding. Finally, Anansi, exhausted from the exertion of controlling the storm, called it off. The winds died down, and the skies cleared, leaving only the faint echo of thunder in the distance. But Anansi was not finished. He knew that strength alone did not define greatness. True power, he believed, lay in a person's heart. And so, he devised another test. Once again, Anansi transformed, this time into a small child, lost, afraid, and alone in the vast forest that surrounded the village. He cried loudly, his voice echoing through the trees. Soon enough, Akua, ever watchful, heard the cries. Her heart, as always, went out to those in need. She followed the sound, and when she found the child, she gathered him into her arms. She soothed him with a gentle voice, promising that he was safe and would never be alone. "Where are your parents?" she asked, wiping away his tears. The child, pretending to be lost and helpless, shook his head. "I don't know, I was so scared. Please, help me," he pleaded. Akua nodded, and without hesitation, she carried the child back to her home. She gave him food, a warm bed, and spoke to him softly until he fell asleep in her arms. Anansi, in his true form, appeared once more, tears streaming down his face. "Your kindness has touched me more than I can say," he admitted. "I came here to test you, to see if your heart was as pure as your strength. And now I see that you are not only strong, but you are kind and selfless." Anansi returned to the gods, his heart heavy with the truth he had discovered. The gods listened as he recounted Akua's strength and kindness, their eyes wide with awe. "We have seen many mortals," said one of the gods, "but none like her." Anansi nodded, his voice low and reverent. "Akua is a force unlike any other. Her strength could rival the mountains, and her heart could heal the deepest wounds." The gods were silent for a long time. Finally, they spoke, their voices full of wonder and fear. "We must respect her," one god said, "for she is more powerful than even we imagined. She possesses a strength that comes from the earth itself, and a heart that could change the world." From that day forward, the gods never dared to challenge Akua. They watched her from the heavens, not with the pride of rulers, but with the reverence of those who understand the true nature of power. And so, Akua continued to live her life, helping others, sharing her strength, and showing the world that true power comes not from magic or might, but from the heart. The people of the village spoke of Akua's deeds for generations to come. They told stories of her bravery, her kindness, and her wisdom. And as time passed, those stories traveled far and wide, carried on the winds of the earth, whispered by travelers, and sung by bards. And though Akua passed from this world, her spirit remained. The gods, humbled by her, knew that the strength of a true hero was not measured by the power they wielded, but by the love they gave. Akua's legacy lived on in every act of kindness, in every moment of courage, and in the hearts of all who believed that strength is not just about muscles or thunder, but about the goodness that dwells within. And that, my friends, is why even the gods are afraid of Akua. For she was not just a woman, she was a force of nature, a reminder that the greatest power in the world is the power of a pure heart.